Hi, I'm going to paint the image here that I've sketched out, more of a fantasy paint of a night sky, and where the stars look more like galaxy stars, and on the foreground is the grass with different shades of blue, and there's a person standing in the middle of a big giant rock staring at the night sky. And now I'm going over to the layers, to ibispaint X, to show you how I am painting this piece of art. First, here is my sketch, a rough sketch of what I'm going to paint. And here is the horizon line. This would be the grass, this is the stone, and on top would be the sky. For the layers, let's start with the base layer, which is the crust. This is how I paint the crust. I can lower the sketch to about 20%, and so this is the base color of the grass. The first layer is this blue color, and as the contours, you can see there's along it there's a like a grass shape. And for this paint, I am using pen fade, I'm using airbrush, I am using watercolor bleed. This is for the sky, and I also am using the coarse pencil for the rocks, and this bush brush for the contours of the grass. I'm using the light brush, special light brush, and also the special sanguine pen star with the add blend mode brush. And for the side tools I'm using is the smudge tool and eraser tool, and some blur tool, and also the filter tool, which is the Gaussian blur, and as well as the tone curve for the final effects. Now let's go over to the next layer, which is the darker parts of the grass, and then this is the lighter part of the grass, which is different color variation of a purple towards the blue. I can color pick and show you the colors. So it's a variation of this blue color. And let's go over to the next layer, which is the rock layer. How I paint the rock. So layer 16 is the base color, layer 17 is the lines, layer 18 is the shadows and highlights. This is where I am using the coarse pencil brush to shade in the shadows and highlights. Let's enable the sky layer. How I paint the sky. So first, let's start out with the base color, which is this layer 3, and then I'm continuing to paint in the shape of the clouds, which is this forward straight shape. And then here I add in the light. I need this should be the lights. I need to rename this light. Okay, light 2. Oh, okay, this should be light 1. This is And this light, this light, so oh, this is the, I put in some more light, a bit of lighter bright tones in the middle of the clouds here to make a bit more of an effect. Okay, and then the second light is this one, kind of bring in a more bright green, and then I smudge them, and then I bring in a much more brighter green, and I smudge them, and they have the blend mode of screen, lighten, and then let's see if I do this to screen. No, it's much less bright, so I go for color dodge. And this one, yeah, I've the blend mode is also set to screen. Okay, that's how I paint the sky. And then I add in the stars. First, the small star. This is the small star, and the big star, which is I am using the special light star brush, which is this one. It can be found in ibispaint X. And then I add in the streak. For the streak, I am using the pen fit, and I put in different. I put in some blue color and some greens, and I smudge them to make this kind of effect. And then after that, I set this to overlay to about 50% opacity. Then I'm going, I think now I am done all with the sky layer. Now let's go and enable the character layer. How so there would be a person. I draw a shape of a person looking straight towards the sky, more of a silhouette. Okay, it's nothing too detailed. I am hiding the sketch layer, and then I turn on the alpha lock, and I using an airbrush, and I brush in some shadows and highlights, and then I duplicate this, and I add in the shadow for the person standing, and that's the character. And next I add in an overlay layer where I paint in, as you can see in this one, using an airbrush, a bright green for the top part, which is the most highlighted part, green. And then I select a color to about blue. I shift it to blue and put it to about gray towards the tone side, and then I paint in the base color to give it a little bit of darkness. I can still adjust this. I put it to about 32%, and that is the overlay layer. And for the next final effects, I'm adding in an adjustment layer. I press this icon here and press add adjustment layer for this tone curve. As you can see, this is the S curve I made for this, so it looks much very bright, and has much more contrast. That's all for the layers and the brushes that I used in ibispaint X. Now I am going to play the speed paint video. was trying to make a sketch, like a drawing sketch, where first I thought I was doing like a tree, and I used some perspective line grids to help me, but in the end I turned out to just draw like a fantasy sky and fantasy night sky. And here is the real sketch that we are going to paint out. I just let my ideas flow and see what kind of paint I can make. So and it turned out I am painting this fantasy night galaxy sky theme. And I use the grids to you know, as you see that the stone is facing on the like the diagonal direction this way, and I start to put in the base colors for the ground and the rocks, and the base color for the sky, and I do adjust it using the HSL filter, and I'm continuing to do the 3D forms lines for the stone. And here I start to draw in the clouds using the watercolor bleed brush. And then I add in the stars, and I adjust the clouds a little bit, and I somewhat kind of erase the star a little bit. And I'm using the smudge tool to draw in the streak, and I resize them so it looks more like this. And I draw in the character using a deep pen hard pen brush. And I start to add in the shadows. Here I add the overlay effect, and I put in the lights and shadows using the ghost pencil for the rocks, so it has a textured rocky type of stone. And I add in the final adjustment layer using the tone curve to achieve the final effect, so it appears very bright and has more contrast. You can see more of the dark and no the tone curve will adjust the darks and the lights for this piece of painting, and so you can see it looks more um, it looks much better because of the how it controls the values of the darks and the lights. Thank you for watching till the end of this video. If you like to see more of paintings that I'm using, painting using the Ibis Paint X, please like and subscribe to my channel, and I see you in the next paint video.